Bitcoin on the 4-hour looking pretty good, right? 15% bounce, can't beat that. But you start zooming out and you're kind of just like, you get a clear picture. Not out of the woods just yet, but there are certain things to watch for that I'll be watching for. I want to go over in this video. But I think more importantly, I'm doing this video because I really want to go to the weekly chart and talk about a couple of things. The bullish case. I'm such a macro bull. It's fine to track the dips. It's fine to talk about these things. Here's the 4-hour. Here's the daily. We're going to look at this, the shorter term price action, but I want to I want to make a couple points on this weekly chart as it relates to the macro. So hit the subscribe, hit the like, let's jump into it. I actually want to start here. Whales are accumulating Bitcoin like never seen before. Something is coming big time. This is one piece of the story. There are so many different reasons why I'm bullish on Bitcoin and crypto in general, but this is one piece. There are entities that are accumulating Bitcoin like never before. And a lot of people, I think, and not just Bitcoin, but crypto in general, a lot of people are getting shaken out of the space, it seems. And it's, in my view, unfortunate because I think that this cycle has so much in store. Bitcoin is in accumulation phase over the last month. And by the way, take note, this is July 24th. 358,000 Bitcoins moved to permanent holder addresses. In July, global spot ETF inflows were 53,000 Bitcoin. So that was his post back in July. And here's a post from, this was just like an hour or so ago. I'm pretty sure something's happening behind the scenes. 404,448 Bitcoin have moved to permanent holder addresses over the past 30 days. And it's clearly accumulation. We'll know within a year. We will know within a year. And it's one of those things where you see the data happening, but there's not this immediate price pump or bullish, crazy move. And that's just the way markets are. And oftentimes, these really bullish indicators or these bullish data points like massive accumulation, it's happening in an environment of fear, right? And that's kind of where we have been lately. If you go to CoinMarketCap, I think they have, here's our fear and greed index sitting at around 34 right now. So we're in that environment. We've been in that environment. But going back, let's start on the weekly and then I'll pivot to the daily and we'll talk about shorter term price action. But a couple of things I wanted to point out to you because I'm watching it. We've already identified the Fibonacci support that is holding so far. Swing high of the last bull to the bear market swing low, that green channel right there. It's that rectangle. Revisiting that area and the way in which it has done as it's hitting this 50-week moving average support looks so good. And I really do hope that we get, even if there's going to be some sideways trading on the weekly, I really do hope we get a really nice bounce of support here. But actually, as I'm doing that, and maybe it's just too good to be true, I don't know. We have to sit here and be prepared for every scenario. That is to say, we fall, and it fails, right? But I want to talk about the bullish scenario because we're just over 100 days post Bitcoin halving. And we're right at this moment, post Bitcoin halving, where every single time Bitcoin has done something really, really spectacular. And so I do want to entertain this, but look at this bounce potentially off the 50-week moving average that might be setting up. And maybe we go lower and this can still happen, right? Maybe we have to meet the 200 and it's going to be more pain to the 200 before getting a bounce. But either way, look what's potentially setting up. And this is one thing that I really just wanted to talk about, and that is this inverse head and shoulders. I think it's a really nice macro pattern that we have here. There's going to be probably a lot of people that are talking about this or will start talking about this because when it comes to macro charts, to get setups like this, they don't happen all the time. This chart alone, if you just look at this on the weekly, this pattern took years, almost a whole cycle. This is going back to the last bull market highs, right? That left shoulder was the last bull market highs. We went through an entire bear market to form this potential head. And now we have this right shoulder setting up. So left shoulder head, right shoulder set up. The right shoulder obviously not confirmed, but the fact that we got this dip down to the 50-week moving average, I like to see an even more clear formation of a right shoulder. And this dip really helped do that. So as I said, maybe Bitcoin goes a little bit lower. Maybe it has to meet the 200-week moving average down here before going higher. But right now, I am absolutely watching the 50-week moving average support, this higher low Fibonacci, the bull market doors as support. I'm so curious to see how this plays out. And we can get some hints on the daily chart, which I'm about to look at in a minute. But the other thing I wanted to mention on the weekly before I do that is this. And this was interesting to me. Bitcoin on this chart has obviously cooled down, and we've seen this a lot on the RSI. I talk about the RSI all the time because it's an important piece of data for me on the macro. We've talked about the cooling down out of overbought. We've talked about Bitcoin has not even been overbought after Bitcoin halving yet. Every cycle so far, that's the bull market. Bitcoin overbought after the Bitcoin halving. That hasn't even happened yet. But what I wanted to talk about was the actual area in which Bitcoin has revisited at this moment is a very similar area that it did last cycle. And I'm kind of happy last cycle Bitcoin broke through it fell through the 20-week moving average right here. And then it actually wasn't the beginning of the bear market. And that could be an indicator that suggests it's the beginning of the bear market. You go a couple cycles ago, Bitcoin falling through that 20-week moving average, that was the beginning of the bear market, right? So I'm actually kind of happy that we can't just sit here and say, man, Bitcoin just fell through the 20-week moving average. That's the end of the bull market, or there's not going to be a bull market and it's the beginning of a bear market. Because last cycle, this happened. Bitcoin fell through the 20-week moving average, saw support at the 50, and then went higher. But so that consistency is good, but even more powerfully so, and this is what I want to say, Bitcoin is way earlier in the cycle right now, like around 100 days after Bitcoin halving. When Bitcoin fell through that 20-week moving average, it was 370 some days after Bitcoin halving. So we are so early still in the cycle, and we're getting this move of consolidation. And I think that is a very, very good thing, a very good indicator. And even just actually notice the area in which the RSI is on Bitcoin right now. Very similar area where Bitcoin fell to when it broke the 20-week moving average last time, in the middle of the bull market last time before going higher. So I wanted to point that out on the weekly because there's just such potential for an insane bull market for crypto. I know I'm showing Bitcoin charts, but this is crypto. This applies to crypto. Going to the daily, I do want to mention what's going on. We have this pattern that we've been tracking. It is this kind of falling wedge, this channel, lower highs, lower lows that you see here. And Bitcoin tested the lower trend line. If you look at that 4-hour though, it really does. Like we're getting a bounce, but it doesn't mean we're out of the woods. Bitcoin could very easily just start trickling back down a little bit on this, on the 4-hour. We could even see, I don't want to scare anybody, but it's something I'm always prepared for. We could see Bitcoin go a little lower on the 4-hour, for instance, and actually put in some bullish divergence on the 4-hour, right? So lower on price, higher low on the RSI, and then we're getting the bounce, right? And then we're getting that flip of momentum that we really want to see. But let's go back to the daily. Keeping in mind where we've gone to, we fell just below this lower trend line. So down here in the $49,000 area, Bitcoin could very well start testing the lower trend line again, trickling, if not trickling down, kind of sideways, choppy waters. That would be very normal in my view when we're putting these swing lows and bouncing off of trend lines like this. Oftentimes we see Bitcoin kind of just choppy for a little bit. And this is a daily chart, so you can see last time was choppy for a little bit before getting a move to the upside, before really testing these moving averages. And I mentioned in yesterday's video, that's what I'm looking for right now, Bitcoin to test the moving averages. So it made a little bit of a way to that area, but we're not there yet. A very confluent area right around $61,000, $62,000. You can just see the 50, the 200, and then the 20s up here around 64,000, just above 64,000. So there is a lot of resistance for Bitcoin. And now that we've gotten this bounce off this lower trend line, I'm still just watching and waiting for Bitcoin to start testing that area. I would really like to see what happens at the area. Maybe we get a bounce to the upside, rejection coming back down. Maybe it just takes some time. So that's what I'm watching on this daily chart. It's nice to at least see a nice wick from yesterday's daily candle. And so far, a green candle. There's an hour and a half or so left of this green candle, and we'll see how the next green candle opens. But would not be surprised at all if we get some choppy waters, even along the lower trend line here. Bitcoin really testing the patience of everybody. And at the end of the day, all we can do is be prepared for every scenario. That includes a breakout to the upside and even a break to the downside. So these are my thoughts today. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I appreciate you cruising through. I hope you're having a good week. Hit the subscribe, hit the like. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.